Unequal Holy Scriptures. The Apocrypha's editorial note rightly observes that while it is unwise to hold the Apocrypha Deuterocanon to the same God-breathed standard as the 66 books of the Bible, we hold, as Martin Luther did, to their value as possibly true and good to read, but unverified, Apocrypha, that are books which are not considered equal to the Holy Scriptures, but are useful and good to read. The Book of Enoch contains 108 chapters total, divided into 5 sections. The Book of the Watchers opens with the words of the blessing of Enoch, with which he blessed the elect and righteous, who will be living in the day of tribulation, when all the wicked and godless are to be removed. Enoch declares that his eyes were opened by God, seeing him in a vision, which the angels showed Enoch. From them he understood what he saw, for a remote generation which is to come. These visions begin with Revelation 21 verse 11. Enoch is told to observe how everything is ordered: luminaries, seasons, night, day, rain, dew, foliage, and bodies of water. These things do not change from God's commandments, but people have. It is here he begins to go into detail about the evils that abounded in Genesis 6. 200 fallen angels lusted after the comely daughters of men, and swore an oath to bind themselves by mutual imprecations not to abandon the plan of choosing wives and begetting children. This they did, and taught them charms and enchantments, the cutting of roots, making them acquainted with plants. Women bore giants, 3,000 ells. The giants then consumed all the acquisitions of men, and when the men couldn't sustain them anymore, the giants devoured mankind. They sinned against birds, beasts, reptiles, fish, each other's flesh, and drank the blood. Different fallen angels taught them about the metals of the earth and the art of working them to make swords, knives, shields, bracelets, antimony, beautifying eyelids, costly stones, and coloring tinctures, as well as astrology, signs of the sun, earth, clouds, and moon. There was much godlessness, fornication, and shed blood. They revealed eternal secrets, which were preserved in heaven, which men were striving to learn. God sent Uriel to Lamech to say, "Go to Noah, and tell him, in my name hide yourself. Tell Noah about the coming flood and how to escape it." God said to Raphael, "Bind Azazel hand and foot and cast him into the darkness," reminiscent of Isaiah 14 verses 12 to 15. Then Enoch is hidden, so no one knew what had become of him. He is told by the watchers, angels, to go and tell the defiled watchers that they shall see the destruction of all their evil. When Enoch told them, they were afraid. They asked Enoch to draw up a petition for them so that they might find forgiveness. He did, and God told Enoch, in a vision, that they would not be granted judgment had finally passed upon them. Tell the watchers that they should intercede for men and not men for them. It repetitively asks them why they did all the aforementioned wickedness. Enoch is taken to a place where those who were like a flaming fire could appear as men. He saw the end of all things, such as the treasuries of the stars and winds, the cornerstone of the earth, for winds which bear the earth, and the firmament of the heaven. Next, Enoch is given the names of the holy angels who watch and their respective jobs. He is shown a chaotic and horrible place, no heaven or earth, just somewhere where 7 holy angels were bound together and burning until 10,000 years were finished for transgressing a commandment of the Lord. Then he was taken to an even more horrible place where the fallen angels were imprisoned for eternity. After, he was shown Sheol and Hades, which contained 3 divisions, so the spirits of the dead might be separated. Later he was shown a high mountain where the summit is God's throne, when he comes to visit the earth with goodness, and the tree of life which will be transplanted to the holy place. Revelation 21 verse 5 and 22:2. He's then taken to the middle of the earth and sees mountains, streams, trees, and deep ravines. They were in extremes to one another by height. He visits 3 more places, each one more beautiful than the last. He sees the tree of knowledge of good and evil, describing its beauty, in height like that of the fir, leaves like the carob tree, fruit like the clusters of the vine, and the fragrance penetrates afar. Enoch is taken to 4 more places, the ends of the earth in the east, which contains great beasts, the north and west, where 3 portals of heaven blow various winds, 1 good and 2 violent, and the south, where 3 portals pass the stars of heaven. The Book of Parables of Enoch recounts 3 parables that were imparted to Enoch. It begins at Revelation 20 verse 4. He words it as, "And it will come to pass in those days that elect and holy children will descend from the high heaven, and their seed will become one with the children of men. Then a whirlwind carries him off from the earth and sets him down at the end of the heavens, which is the dwelling places of the holy and the resting places of the righteous." Here it is unclear as to whom he refers, either the angels or the righteous who petition and intercede and pray for the children of men. He sees Jesus in his dwelling place under the wings of the Lord of Spirits. Enoch wanted to stay there. He sees what is written in Revelation 4, and those that sleep not say what is written in Isaiah 6 verse 3. Next he sees the 4 beasts of Revelation for verses 6 to 8, which he calls presences, and he learns their names and functions. 1. Michael, blesses the Lord of Spirits forever and ever. 2. Raphael, blesses the elect one, Jesus, and those elect ones who hang upon the Lord of Spirits. 3. Gabriel, prays and intercedes for those who dwell on the earth and supplicate in the name of the Lord of Spirits. 4. Phanuel, fends off the devils and forbids them to come before the Lord of Spirits to accuse them who dwell on the earth. Then Enoch saw all the secrets of the heavens, how the kingdom is divided, and how the actions of men are weighed in the balance. He saw the mansions of the elect and the mansions of the holy, and all the sinners being driven from there, who deny the name of the Lord of Spirits, and being dragged off. He also observed the secrets of lightning, thunder, winds, clouds, and dew. Next he makes a commentary of wisdom, finding no dwelling place among people, so she returned to her seat among the angels, and the unrighteousness went out, and even though she didn't look for anyone, they found her, and she lived with them as rain in a desert and dew on a thirsty land. After, Enoch is shown a parabolic meaning of the names of the holy who dwell on the earth, and believe in the name of the Lord of Spirits forever and ever. Enoch envisions Revelation 20 verse 6, "And there I saw one who had a head of days, and his head was white like wool, and with him was another being whose countenance had the appearance of a man, and his face was full of graciousness, like one of the holy angels. And I asked the angel who went with me, and showed me all the hidden things, concerning that Son of Man, who he was, and from where he was, why he went with the head of days. And he answered and said unto me, This is the Son of Man who has righteousness, with whom dwells righteousness, and who reveals all the treasures of that which is hidden, because the Lord of Spirits has chosen him, and whose lot has the preeminence before the Lord of Spirits in uprightness forever. And this Son of Man whom you have seen will raise up the kings and the mighty from their seats, and will loosen the reins of the strong and break the teeth of the sinners. Because they do not extol and praise him, nor humbly acknowledge from where the kingdom was bestowed upon them. And he will put down the countenance of the strong, and will fill them with shame. And darkness will be their dwelling, and worms will be their bed, and they will have no hope of rising from their beds, because they do not extol the name of the Lord of Spirits, and all their deeds manifest unrighteousness, and their power rests upon their riches, and their faith is in the gods which they have made with their hands, and they deny the name of the Lord of spirits, and they persecute the houses of his congregations, and the faithful who hang upon the name of the Lord of spirits. Afterwards, Enoch sees Jesus on his throne, and the books are opened. Revelation 20 verses 11 to 15. Followed by Revelation 21 verse 6, a fountain of righteousness which was inexhaustible. Around it were many fountains of wisdom, which the thirsty drank from and were filled with wisdom. Those who have denied the Lord of spirits will be as straw in the fire, and as lead in the water. They will burn and sink respectively, before the face of the Holy, and no trace of them will any more be found. He is then taken by a whirlwind to see mountains, each of lead, silver, copper, gold, iron, and soft metal. While the men of the earth take gifts of homage to Christ, Isaiah 60 verses 1 to 12, the angels of punishment are preparing all the instruments of Satan for the final battle at Armageddon. Enoch looks to another part of the earth to see a deep valley with burning fire. Iron chains of immeasurable weight are forged there to bind the hosts of Azazel, so that Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Phanuel will take hold of them and cast them into the abyss of complete condemnation, and cover their jaws with rough stones, as the Lord commanded, to take vengeance on them for becoming subject to Satan and leading astray those who dwell on the earth. The narrative then jumps back to the flood in destroying the unrighteous and repeating what we read in Genesis 8 verses 21 to 22. This begins with Revelation 22 verses 3 to 6 and skips back to Enoch's present time, the 14th day of the 7th month of the year 500, and what he sees makes him tremble with fear and fall upon his face, because he cannot endure the look of the host of 1,000 thousands and 10,000 times 10,000, which were disquieted from the commotion and the quaking of the heaven. This was due to the Lord's anger. Until that day, he had been merciful and long-suffering with those on the earth. Lamech speaks because it says, "Where my grandfather was taken up, the seventh from Adam." This is really cool because now we know roughly when Job lived. And on that day were two monsters parted, a female named Leviathan and a male named Behemoth. She was cast into the abysses of the sea, and him unto the dry land of the wilderness on the east of the garden where the elect and righteous dwell. Job 40:15-41:1-34. Lamech is also shown the secrets of the winds, the seas rolling forwards and back, and the courses of winter and summer. Michael tells Lamech that the two monsters, prepared conformably to the greatness of God, will feed. Next, he witnesses angels with long cords going off to measure the righteous, which will be given to faith and which will strengthen righteousness. These measures will reveal all the secrets of the depths of the earth, those destroyed by desert, devoured by beasts, such as in the Colosseum, and fish of the sea, that they might return and stay themselves on the day of Jesus' return, for none will be destroyed before the Lord of spirits, and none can be destroyed. There's a long diatribe of how vengeance and punishment will be delivered onto those who oppressed God's children and his elect. We shall never again see the faces of the sinners and unrighteous. The righteous shall abide with Jesus. We will eat and lie down and rise up forever and ever, clothed with garments of glory, the garments of life, from God, which shall not grow old, neither will our glory pass away before him. Again, the narrative jumps to Noah, who cried out to Enoch, essentially saying, "What's going on? Am I going to die too?" Enoch stood beside him, saying, "Because of their unrighteousness, their judgment has been determined. But you, my son, the Lord of spirits knows that you are pure and guiltless of this reproach concerning the secrets, and he will preserve you and destined your righteous seed for kingship and great honors, and from your seed will proceed a fountain of the righteous and holy without number forever. Then Noah is shown the angels that hold the waters in check until the time. The narrative picks up with Genesis 6 verses 13 to 22. Enoch gives Noah the book of the parables. I'm not sure who's speaking, but they're given a list of the fallen angels and their personal evils. Jechan led the sons of God astray through the daughters of men. Asbeel gave evil counsel to defile their bodies with the daughters of men. Casdaja showed how to kill the embryo in the womb, the smiting of the soul, and many others. This next portion appears to be written between Enoch and Methuselah or Lamech, since Enoch was translated 31 years prior to Noah's birth. Chapter 70 speaks of Enoch's ascension, and he was raised aloft on the chariots of the Spirit, and his name vanished among them. And from that day I was no longer numbered among them, and he set me between the two winds, north and west, where the angels took the cords to measure for me the place for the elect and righteous. And it came to pass after this that my spirit was translated, and it ascended into the heavens, and I saw the holy sons of God. Is shown more details of heaven. The astronomical book shows the intricate workings of the universe for 11 chapters, although recounted by Enoch. It is Methuselah who writes. The book of dream visions is again to Methuselah, but Enoch speaks. He had two visions, first while he was learning to write, and the second before marrying Edna, so it would be within a 52-year time gap. The first was of the flood swallowing up the earth. Enoch implores God to leave him a posterity on earth and not destroy all the flesh of man, so that there should be an eternal destruction. The second vision was from Adam through to the end of time, using bulls and sheep metaphorically over 6 chapters. The Epistle of Enoch is where he gathers all his brothers and relatives to tell them everything he'd witnessed in his vision, and that they should not be double-hearted, but walk in uprightness. He writes, "The book written by Enoch for all my children who will dwell on the earth, and for the future generations who will observe uprightness and peace. Let not your spirit be troubled on account of the times, for the Holy and Great One has appointed days for all things." 12 chapters explain how the unbelieving shall perish and the believing shall be exalted. In those days the Lord bade them to summon and testify to the children of earth concerning their wisdom, show unto them, for you are their guides, and a recompense over the whole earth. For I and my Son will be united with them forever in the paths of uprightness in their lives, and you will have peace. Rejoice, you children of uprightness. Amen. Then it speaks of Noah's birth. His body was white as snow and red as the blooming of a rose, and the hair was long locks of white like wool, and his eyes beautiful. And when he opened his eyes, he lighted up the whole house like the sun, and the whole house was very bright. He rose up in the midwife's hands, and conversed with the Lord of righteousness. Lamech was afraid of him, and fled to Methuselah, telling him all about it, worried that his nature was different, his eyes as the rays of the sun, and his countenance is glorious. Would you implore Enoch to learn the truth? So Enoch told Methuselah that he had already foreseen this, and that because of all the sins the earth would be cleansed from all impurity. He and his 3 sons would be saved from the great deluge. And after that there will be still more unrighteousness than that which was first consummated on the earth. Methuselah returns and tells Lamech, "Yes, he is your son," and all the other things. So Lamech called him Noah, for he will comfort the earth after all the destruction. The last chapter is too beautiful for believers to not know, but horrifying for the unbelievers, so I write it verbatim here. Another book which Enoch wrote for his son Methuselah, and for those who will come after him and keep the law in the last days. You who have done good will wait for those days until an end is made of those who work evil, and an end of the might of the transgressors. And wait you indeed until sin has passed away, for their names will be blotted out of the book of life and out of the holy books, and their seed will be destroyed forever, and their spirits will be slain, and they will cry and make lamentation in a place that is a chaotic wilderness, and in the fire will they burn, for there is no earth there. And I saw there something like an invisible cloud, for by reason of its depth I could not look over, and I saw a flame of fire blazing brightly, and things like shining mountains circling and sweeping to and fro. And I asked one of the holy angels who was with me, and said unto him, What is this shining thing? For it is not a heaven, but only the flame of a burning fire, and the voice of weeping and crying and lamentation and strong pain. And he said unto me, This place which you see here are cast the spirits of sinners and blasphemers, and of those who work wickedness, and of those who pervert everything that the Lord has spoken through the mouth of the prophets, even the things that will be. For some of them are written and inscribed above in the heaven, in order that the angels may read them and know that which will befall the sinners, and the spirits of the humble, and of those who have afflicted their bodies, and been recompensed by God, and of those who have been put to shame by wicked men, who love God and loved neither gold nor silver nor any of the good things which are in the world, but gave over their bodies to torture. Who, since they came into being, longed not after earthly food, but regarded everything as a passing breath, and lived accordingly, and the Lord tried them much, and their spirits were found pure so that they should bless his name. And all the blessings destined for them I have recounted in the books. And he has assigned them their recompense, because they have been found to be such as loved heaven more than their life in the world, and though they were trodden under foot of wicked men, and experienced abuse and reviling from them and were put to shame, yet they bless me. And now I will summon the spirits of the good who belong to the generation of light, and I will transform those who were born in darkness, who in the flesh were not recompensed with such honor as their faithfulness deserved. And I will bring out in shining light those who have loved my holy name, and I will seat each on the throne of his honor. And they will be resplendent for times without number, for righteousness is the judgment of God, for to the faithful he will give faithfulness in the habitation of upright paths. And they will see those who were born in darkness led into darkness, while the righteous will be resplendent, and they indeed will go where days and seasons are prescribed for them. And that is the end of the Book of Enoch. Subscribe for more ancient wisdom, and don't forget to click on the bell for more notifications on ancient wisdom.